Let's go with Stan and Neil Show.
What's up? Welcome to the Stan and Neil Show, episode number 24. For us, we're glad to have you with us. Back here
I
on
would have bet
Wednesday,
the under.
we're live. Hey, say that again.
I would have bet the under.
We're still here. We're still here. Don't forget, you can always catch us everywhere across the digital landscape on YouTube, on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Otherwise, Neil, how can folks subscribe to the show?
Well, you know, Stan, I'm glad you asked because we had over our 1,000th subscriber last week. And,
All right.
yeah. And we've got tickets to Disneyland, whoever that was. No, we don't. Listen, you can be a rookie, an all-pro, or a Hall of Fame subscriber. And listen, we want you to know we appreciate everybody. Call Me East Coast is the first person on the chat. The NFC South is just a collective of melancholy. So he's already throwing it out there. Stan, you know, before we get started, I wanted to share with you what I did yesterday.
What'd you do yesterday?
I drove to Carlsbad and back in the same day. That in and of itself is quite a trip. That's 2 hours each way. As you know, or may have not know, I am the voice of Cobra Golf.
Oh yeah,
and we've got a new ad campaign out, Stan, and it stars Ricky Fowler and Max Homa.
Okay,
and I'm telling you, I've been sworn to secrecy, but the technology that they are fixing to introduce in January to the world, to the golf community, is going to revolutionize the sport in such a way that you, Mr. Golfer, are going to be calling me up and saying, Neil, I need your Cobra contacts. I need your Cobra contacts.
You know I love those guys, but I am Team TaylorMade. Have always been Team TaylorMade. No disrespect to Cobra, solid brand, but I'm Team TaylorMade.
Well, that's all right, man. Somebody's got to be in second place.
Hey, look, they got the right guy to sell it. They got the right guy to sell it.
Oh, it is fabulous. I mean, I wish I could share with you this stuff. Unbelievable.
Did you get to hang out with those guys at all? Were they there?
No, I was hanging out with Andy and Luke from the marketing team. They're the brains behind the operation, and it's really
Max,
spectacular.
I watched Max since I think he was in college, maybe when I
Valencia, right?
Max Homa, Valencia Country Club. He grew up out there, grew up playing there, and some days I would set up a chair on the range behind him, and I'd be like, Max, I'm just going to try to learn through osmosis here. But the ball just made a different sound coming off his clubs than it made coming off mine, you know? And I'd watch him, and I'm like, he's got two arms, two legs, you know, and midsection and torso and everything, just like I have. Why can't I do what he does? It's the thing that drives you crazy about golf, because the best players always make it look relatively easy, and it makes you think, oh, I could do that. Just take the stick, hit this ball. How hard can that be? And then you realize how difficult it really is. But I'm glad you got the bug now.
You know what the big difference is between you and Max?
Talent.
No. Cobra sticks, bro. Cobra sticks. Come on.
He was pretty good with Titleist too now. But, I mean, I understand. He made the switch to Cobra.
His game's he's taken off. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and Ricky Fowler's been their guy forever.
Yeah.
So, always one of the more popular players. Always see the kids with the flat build hat.
He'll be having a huge. He'll be comeback golfer of the year after this. What he's going to be toting in his bag come the new year.
DeChambeau's Cobra too. Well, I know he's got his own thing going now with the with the drivers, but I think he still plays Cobra irons at least.
I can't confirm nor deny that.
Yeah, because he's got the same length irons. All of his irons are the same length. They didn't vary the length. And he's always tinkering with stuff. He's like a golf scientist, DeChambeau. So but I think he's still Cobra irons. Anyway, man, that sounds great. I'm a gearhead, and I had a feeling when you said Carlsbad, I thought you were going to tell me that you went and got a fitting.
Oh, I did get a fitting.
Oh, you got a fitting. So you got your custom.
Oh yeah.
All right.
I did that a year ago.
Oh yeah. In the lead, man. We got to get out on the course.
Dude, it's amazing. I mean, I used to hit like 180 on 18. Now I'm down to like 120. It's good.
All right. Okay. All right. Hey, look, I travel with guys sometimes who shoot 120. They get on a plane to go somewhere and shoot 120. So,
Yeah.
the key is just keep bringing it down. All right.
There you go.
All right, let's talk some football. Oh, man, I can't wait for Thursday night. Rams and Seahawks. Looks like it could decide the division in the NFC West, could also decide the number 1 seed in the NFC. So, man, what a game this could be. What do you got in that one?
Well, both teams are 11-3. Played a month ago in LA. The Rams won 21-19. Sam Darnold, not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 interceptions.
Yeah.
Rams jumped out to a 14-0 lead. The Hawks didn't score a touchdown until there was about 2 minutes left in the game. Otherwise, you look at the stats and you'd say, wow, Seattle won that game. They outrushed them 414 to 249. Excuse me, out total yarded them 414 to 249, 26 first downs to 12, and they still lost because of the interceptions. The Legion of Doom 2 is in Seattle. You hear about it because it's worth hearing about. Darnold has only thrown 1 pick along with 5 TDs since that debacle in week 11. Seattle defense allowing under 11 points in the 5 games since. And Stafford, we know what he can do. Darnold, we don't know what he will do. And if past performance is any indication, he blew up late in the season at Minnesota last year, and the Rams whooped him in the wild card game. And so, you'd have to lean the Rams. Of course, I'm rooting for Seattle.
Yeah, they needed 6 field goals last week to beat 70-year-old Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
6 field goals, no touchdowns at all. It's a real concern. And the biggest concern before you even get to Darnold is they can't run the ball right now. Against the Colts. Colts got a pretty good front, but they had 50 yards on the ground. 50. Kenneth Walker had 17 on 9 carries. So they're going to have to try to establish the run against the Rams, because if that pass rush gets going, it's lights out. And he'll be lucky if he's standing up to throw 4 interceptions if they don't run the ball better, because that Rams rush can really get after you. But Seattle's defense, you mentioned how well they've been playing. They've allowed 25 points in their last 3 games.
Yeah.
So the defense is playing well. Rams won't have Devontae Adams, it looks like, because of that hamstring. But we do get 2 of the top receivers in the NFL, Puka Nacua and Jackson Smith-Njigba, who's currently leading the NFL in receiving. Nacua right behind him in second. And then, the Rams, as we talked about, they like to use those 3 tight end formations. So without Devontae Adams, they may rely a little bit more on that, because they don't throw it much to Tutu Atwell or any of their other receivers. It's mostly Nacua and Devontae Adams when they go wideouts. But they throw it to the tight ends a lot. And that 3 tight end look gives them a run look, but they throw out of it a lot. So it's kind of really a chess match for Mike McDonald against Sean McVay in terms of what the Rams are going to try to do formation-wise against them. But Seattle's going to have to try to run the ball some sort of way. They had won their previous 2 games 63-9, so everything had been clicking. And then, the Colts, they knew their defense would have to play well because you had a grandpa at quarterback, and they did play well. But, the Rams defense going to know it's got to play well too, and I think the Rams may have a better defense than the Colts. So this could be a problem. I'm leaning Rams here, even without Devontae Adams, because in the red zone, Devontae Adams has been pretty much automatic for them, so they're going to have to figure out a better scheme in the red zone. But again, when they go with those 3 tight ends, they can hit you with the run or the pass. So
but you know who's not going to be getting any calls is Nacua. I mean, if I'm Seattle, I'm draped all over him, because you heard what he said about the officiating.
He said sometimes officials make bad calls on purpose.
Yeah, the refs are the worst. These guys are lawyers. They want to be on TV too. You don't think he's texting his friends in the group chat like, yo, you guys just saw me on Sunday Night Football. That wasn't a PI, but I called it. Oh, that is That is not going to play well with the striped shirts. Oh, I mean, you're going to have guys. I would be draped on his ass. I'd be like, man, they are not going to call anything for him.
I tell you what, man, he's really good though, man. He's one of my favorite players to watch. He's so much fun. I saw him on a podcast and he was doing this dance. These guys were egging him on to do this dance. I think it was the same podcast. I hope he doesn't do it because I don't think he understands what they're trying to get him to do. And at least from what I saw, it's not cool. So let's hope everything goes the way it's supposed to go for Puka Nacua this weekend. But that I'm sorry on Thursday night. But that'll be a fantastic game. I mean, Amazon getting a gift from the football gods there with that matchup. And I may have mentioned this before. Have you watched the game on Prime Vision? On Amazon
I don't know
Prime?
if I have that.
Yeah.
Is that with Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit, you mean?
Yes. It's Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay. But if you go onto your remote, right, when you click onto the game, there's a different way that you can watch it called Prime Vision. And basically, you're seeing the game from the quarterback's perspective. It's all 22, and you're seeing it from the backfield where the quarterback's looking at the defense. And so you can see how quickly they need to process things. You can see when guys break open. You can see when the rush is coming. I mean, it really gives you a fascinating look at how quickly quarterbacks have to be able to process information. And how quickly defenders are on them. I mean, when you watch a game, with a standard view, you can kind of appreciate it. But when you see it from the quarterback's view, you see like when you start talking about a guy working through his progressions, okay, and you're saying his first, second, and third options, okay, it's 2.5 seconds, maybe 3. So you have to work through 3 moving objects, okay, with opposing forces trying to defend them and process all that information within those 2.5 to 3 seconds. It really gives you a great look at the complexity of playing quarterback in the NFL. It's a great way to watch the game. And they have identifiers on each one of the players. So when a guy goes in motion, you know who it is, and you can see, really kind of gives you an idea of what the offensive coordinator is trying to do in terms of play design and how the defenders are trying to defend it. And you can see the pre-snap motion for the offense and the defense and how it kind of affects things. I mean, it's a great way to watch football if you're a football junkie who's really into formations and the chess match that goes on. It's a great way to watch it. So Neil, okay. I
got a question.
Yes,
I got a question. So if I'm seeing what Sam Darnold's seeing, am I seeing ghosts when he sees ghosts?
No. I mean, you can see why he sees ghosts, but you can see the 300-pound men bearing down on him, and you can see how, man, it's the toughest job in sports, and watching it from that perspective, you really get to see. Because the first time I watched, I was like, man, there's no way I'm getting past my first read. If I'm a quarterback, I'm throwing it to the first read, okay? And if that guy's not open, it's interception, it's incomplete, or whatever. But I don't have time for all this second and third read, okay? It's fascinating to watch. So
yeah, you do that, and the coach is going to say, "Hey, we've got a spot right over there next to Mr. Tonga Vailoa. Okay, you can sit over there."
Yeah, how about that? The Dolphins benching him.
Yeah, I mean, he's got an untradeable contract, and you feel, I mean, he's been concussed so often. He's in a tough spot, man, and the Dolphins are in a tough spot. Gave him, a ton. I think he's due $57 million or something next season. But Hawaii guy, so I got to root for him. But yeah, he's in a bad way.
Okay, so now, just dealing with that, does this look like it's a situation where it's either Mike McDaniel or it's Tua moving forward? Because this is McDaniel's call. He's going with Quinn Ewers. Yeah. And so it seems like one of them has to go because, I mean, Tonga Vailoa is down to third string now. He's not even the backup. He's down to third string. So if I mean, do you make a decision about McDaniel moving forward based on these next few games with Quinn Ewers? Or do you think he's safe and he knows he's safe enough to make that move?
Well, he probably figured he didn't have anything to lose because he's not making the playoffs.
Yeah.
You might as well see, I think if he was reading the tweets and all that, it was sit him. But ultimately I'm sure Mr. Ross or whoever owns that team now is going to have a say on like, hey, you're playing him because we're paying him. We can't afford to trade him without any team that's going to want him, which is limited, isn't going to want to pay him. So you're going to have to eat a bunch of his contract. It's just a bad situation, and I feel bad for Tua, but it's just business.
Yeah, McDaniel says ultimately the team needs, and I'm looking for conviction in quarterback play. I feel talking about Ewers, understanding that he's a rookie, I felt that he would play the position the most convicted, which impacts every player on the field. Said Tagovailoa is disappointed, but he said he's going to help Ewers and Zach Wilson, who's the backup, as he goes to third string. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what this means for both of them moving forward. Because, look, if it works, if Ewers plays well, and he's the guy you figured has to help McDaniel, but, you get the sense that he's a little vulnerable too. I mean, like early in the season, it sounded like he was definitely going to go. And then all of a sudden, the Dolphins started playing better, kind of got to
Didn't they can his GM?
Say that again?
They canned his GM. Didn't they can the GM?
Good question.
I think he got banged out earlier. So
yeah,
that's it. Listen, the organization's a mess. All right, let's just put it at that.
Yeah, but I mean, look, they bet big on Tua. They had a decision to make. It was a couple of years ago, and they decided they're going to roll with him, and it just hasn't worked out. I mean, I say all that to say Tyreek Hill getting hurt was a big factor in that, because when you have a Tyreek Hill, you build the offense around the threat he brings. And when that threat is no longer there, defenses can exhale a lot more, because Tyreek Hill basically takes two guys. You can't really single him up with a corner. You got to keep a safety at least aware of where he is, and that opens up so many other things. So I think there's a domino effect there. When Tyreek Hill went down, it puts more pressure on Waddle to now be a number one and more of a deep threat. Puts more pressure on your running game, although Achan's been fantastic. And he's been a big reason why they were able to kind of climb back in it. But we'll see what the future looks like.
They fired Chris Greer back in October. He was the GM, and people at that time were going, "How are you firing just Greer and not firing McDaniels as well?" But
yeah,
it is what it is.
All right, let's go. Eagles taking on Washington.
Yeah,
taking on the Commanders. Eagles beat the Raiders 31-0, and there were some eye-popping numbers in that game. The Raiders, the Las Vegas, a National Football League team, managed 75 yards in that 75 yards in an entire 60-minute National Football League game. They had 75 yards. They had 29 yards passing. 29. You can get that on one play in a lot of games. So they had 60 minutes of football.
Chip Kelly wasn't the whole problem. Yeah.
No.
Wow.
And the Eagles beat them 31-0. And if you look at the Eagles numbers, they didn't exactly leap off the page at you. Jalen Hurts, 12 of 15, 175 yards and 3 touchdowns. So their defense was dominant against a Raiders team that's kind of, what's it, 1, 2, 3 Cancun?
Yeah.
Looks like they're probably going to clean house there. They probably need a quarterback. Pete Carroll may not survive there. So, it's is it enough to trust the Eagles? Coming off that 3-game losing streak, they get as big of a cupcake as you're going to get in the NFL. Do you trust the Eagles yet?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more interested in watching my man Marcus Mariota, who's stepping in for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah.
Who I was talking with my guy Andy at Cobra. I don't know if I mentioned technology off the charts. And he said when you go into the analytics of what Mariota's done this year, he's been pretty good. He's been better than the record, but you are what your record says you are. But it got me thinking about Mariota. This is a little off topic, Stan, and I know usually I stay right between the lines. But Mariota, a future Polynesian Football Hall of Famer, he was also the inaugural winner of the Polynesian College Football Player of the Year award back when he was at Oregon. And this week they announced this year's College Polynesian Hall of Fame award winners, and I thought I'd share those with you so you could share them with your friends. Utah offensive lineman Spencer Fano, he's Samoan. He was the Outland Trophy winner. And Makai Lamont, Hawaiian ancestry, USC. He was the Bolitnikoff winner. And by the way, this is from the crime and punishment section of our show. When Mariota was at Oregon, his center on the football team was Hronis Grasu. Okay? He played in the NFL for a bit. In fact, I think he played for the Raiders. He's married to Sabrina Ionescu.
Oh, wow.
Okay, the GOAT.
Yep.
They live in the same neighborhood that I do. And I know this because they're in the news because somebody broke into their house and stole a bunch of their stuff.
Wow.
And I'm telling you that is the wrong. No, I don't know, but I don't know if he's still with the Raiders. I don't think he is, but they weren't home, obviously. But I'm telling you, he's a big dude. You don't mess with him, and she's the GOAT. You can't mess with Sabrina. That's bad juju. So if the perpetrators are watching the Stan and Neil show right now, I'm telling you, you better take back the stuff you took from them, or you're in some trouble.
So they live in your neighborhood here in L.A.?
Yeah, we'll keep the name. We won't say the name of the neighborhood. We don't need to.
We won't.
Okay.
Because you could be next.
They haven't seen my stuff.
Yeah, we'll come on next.
Hey, they took my 8-track tape player.
Yeah. Come on next week. There'll be no CDs back there.
Yeah, exactly.
I
don't know if they're insured.
Somebody will be having a sale on eBay. A CD sale. Everything must go.
So that's what I got on Philly and Washington.
Eagles taking on what? They still have Buffalo and then Washington at home the rest of the way after they take on Washington this week. I think their defense, I think it's going to be enough, but their offense kind of got back on track for a week. Saquon Barkley at 78 yards, 22 carries. They say, hey, look, we're not worried. We're doing what we need to do. Jalen Hurts, like, hey, as long as we win, he said he's had an unconventional route to the NFL in his career. And so as long as they're winning, that's all that matters. So we'll see. I mean, at least for this week, no need to throw eggs at the offense coordinator's house. You put up 31 and won by 31. So maybe they'll calm down at least for a week in Philly. And we'll see what happens against Washington this weekend. How about another good one, man? Packers and Bears.
Yeah, second time in 3 weeks. Green Bay won the first one, 28-21. Caleb Williams was picked in the final seconds of that one as they rallied from a 14-3 halftime deficit. Chicago, a 1.5 game lead over Green Bay in the NFC North. So the winner at Soldier Field in this next one is going to sit alone atop the division with 2 games left. Green Bay got TD passes from Jordan Love of 45, 41, and 23 yards. Chicago's secondary can't let that happen again if they expect to get the win. And Williams and the Bears' offensive line will not have to have nightmares about Micah Parsons bothering them because he is out. So that is a tough break for Green Bay and gives Chicago a leg up. At home against the Packers with so much at stake. I mean, this Bears story is unbelievable because
I mean they
were supposed to be hanging with the Vikings. Yeah, they're supposed to be hanging with the Vikings in the basement of the North. Instead, they got the suite atop the North and looking down at Green Bay and Detroit. So good job by the first-year coach Johnson, right? Johnson, Brad? No, what is it? Brad
Eric
Johnson?
Eric Johnson.
Eric,
is it?
No, is it Eric?
No.
Producer, Brad. God, I knew I shouldn't have gone off script.
Hold on.
Good job by the new coach.
No,
Brad
it's not
Johnson.
Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson. It's
Ben Johnson.
Eric Johnson.
Eric
Johnson was a tight end.
He doesn't have to call me Johnson.
And if you look at the issues that Detroit's offense has had this year, and you look at the success Chicago's offense has had this year, and Ben Johnson left Detroit as their offensive coordinator, and Dan Campbell got frustrated enough where he decided to start calling the plays. And now you look at how Chicago's figured it out on offense. They also won 31-0 against the Browns last week. So they would have had the double of Myles Garrett and then Micah Parsons. So they were able to escape Garrett, who's closing in on the sacks record, by the way. Yeah. The Browns have been so bad, and when people do talk about him, it's all Shedeur Sanders, that a really, really fantastic season by Myles Garrett is kind of being overlooked. But he's closing in on the sack record for this season. But Bears beat him 31-0 on Sunday, and that Cleveland defense, pretty good. See that Cleveland defense right now is they're third in sacks, and overall
now is that
they're the number 2 defense overall.
Now is that sack record the thing that Strahan had that Favre gifted him, or is that a different sack record?
Strahan and T.J. Watt, I believe, share the record now.
Okay.
Verify like a champion, but I'm pretty sure that it's TJ Watt in 2021, Strahan in 2001, 22 and a half sacks. So Garrett has 21 and a half. So he just needs one sack.
In 3 games, he'll get that.
Yeah, he'll get that. And then let's see.
Now granted, he gets one more game than Strahan and Watt got. Well, I don't know about TJ. TJ was probably in the 17-game season.
2021.
Strahan wasn't.
Yeah,
Strahan wasn't.
His 21 and a half, more than 2 teams have this season.
Wow.
But we digress. They got beat 31-0 by the Bears last week. So it says a lot that the Bears could put 31 on that defense. The Packers coming off a loss to the Broncos. And the Packers are a 1-point favorite at Soldier Field coming into this game, even though Chicago has the better record and they're leading the division. So, Neil, going back to your system here, Green Bay is a 1-point favorite. So they are begging you to take Chicago.
Yeah.
So you have to take Green Bay.
Yeah.
Even laying the 1 on the road.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm learning how your system works.
That's how it goes. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I still like the Bears, though. And, we were talking about that Rams-Seahawks game, and you talked about statistically how great Seattle was in that first game. But what happened?
They lost.
Why did they lose?
Because they didn't score enough points.
Well, yes. But, I mean, what was the reason? What was the reason that statistically
Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions?
Exactly. Okay. And the Chicago Bears are plus 20 in turnover differential. They got some ball hawks in that secondary. And I just think that's going to be the difference. And no Micah Parsons for Green Bay. Again, it's like we were talking about with Tyreek Hill with the Dolphins. Okay. You get a Micah Parsons and you build it around Micah Parsons, right? You build your defensive scheme around, hey, look, they're going to have to come up with a plan to deal with him. So now how do we counter what they're doing to try to stop him, and what opportunities does that present for other guys? In addition to, hey, even if you double team him, sometimes he's still going to get there. And that's a bonus of having a superstar player. Okay, so now no Micah Parsons. Not that they were terrible before, because they weren't. Still a good team without him, but he was supposed to be the next piece to get them over the hump. And I think without him now, they're not going to get over the hump because the Bears are arriving ahead of schedule. And I think they get a statement win on Sunday in Chicago. And I'll tell you what, they're both used to those polar bear conditions. But did you see how cold it was in Chicago for that Bears game last week? They said it was
No,
one of
I
the
was
colder
I was in New
games.
York where it was freezing.
They said it was one of the colder games in Chicago. And when you start talking
That's
about it's a
saying
cold game, even for Chicago, then it's cold. They say it was -6 wind chill or something crazy like that. No, sir. No, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm used to football played in 71-degree comfort in the Superdome. So we'll see. But I like the Bears there.
Yeah, you got to take the Packers.
Okay, so you like Green Bay?
I don't like them, but if you're going to have a system, you can't deviate from that system when you emotionally have an investment or because I don't think I like the other team. None of that has anything to do with it. It's based strictly on the math.
So
and
like
you got to
Jay-Z
stick
said,
with it.
No ad-libbing, stick to the script.
There, exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Okay. We gotta pour a little out for the Kansas City Chiefs. It's all done.
They thought about canceling the rest of the NFL season and the playoffs because the Chiefs are out.
And Chris Collinsworth is gonna have to find a way to get over it because he loves some Patrick Mahomes, man. And you can't blame him. Mahomes is a great player, but there are a lot of Chris Collinsworth memes, because he's effusive sometimes in his praise of Mahomes, which, everybody should be, because I think what has finally caught up to them is that Mahomes can't save them in every single situation that they seem to find themselves in. Like last year, they just kept winning games they had no business winning, and Mahomes would help find a way home. And now this year, it's just it just hasn't worked out. And I really thought that they were going to be a lot better this year because I thought Worthy and Thornton and Hollywood Brown would give them some downfield threats, and then that'll allow Kelsey and Rashee Rice to work underneath, and Pacheco and Kareem Hunt are enough in the running game. But they just haven't been able to put it together. And now they got major cap issues from what I see. So Mahomes, torn ACL, he could be back next season, but maybe not. I don't know. Would you just chalk it up now and say, look, we're going to let him do a full rehab and we'll just kind of write off next season as just kind of a gap year where we'll kind of clear some cap space, do what we need to do, and then we'll come back in 2027 ready to go with Mahomes and a fully repaired, fully rehabbed knee? Or do you bring him back mid-season next year after no camp, no OTAs, no camp, and then you bring him back mid-season next year? Or do you base that on how you're doing?
Well, listen, first of all, they got Gardner Minshew, okay? Pride of Washington State University.
All right.
With the
and
mullet and the mustache.
And Andy Reid.
Andy Reid. You can't bring Mahomes back until he's 100%. That's idiotic thinking. That's short-term thinking. He's too good. He's too valuable. He's got a lot of years in front of him. He's a young guy. So, listen, they won't be the first team that lost a quarterback, but they'll be the first, he's a great one. But there's a lot of quarterbacks out there that, you go find one. Like you said, you got Andy Reid. You got a lot of good pieces. You still got Spagnuolo in the defense. You got a lot of good pieces. Listen, they're not, it's like, is the Chiefs dynasty? Well, listen, they've been in 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. I mean, what'd you expect?
Yeah.
They were going to be in 9 of the last 10 Super Bowls.
Well, yeah,
it had
I mean, look, my wife's family's from Kansas City, and yeah, that's what they were expecting. They had it penciled in every year until he retires.
Yeah, so it's just not prudent to think that way. Sorry, Steph.
So they said the knee injury is worse than they initially thought. He did have surgery on Monday, tore his LCL as well as his ACL. So the two separate ligaments, they say, and again, I'm not a doctor. I tell you what they say on podcasts. Doesn't necessarily mean his rehab will be longer than 9 months, but he's got 2 ligaments that both need to heal up. So it's looking at September, probably at the earliest, if they want to bring him back. So
time will
Andy
tell.
Reid says the process will be long, but he's confident in his quarterback to do what's necessary to ensure he doesn't miss any time next season.
Well, that's the mentality that makes them great, but they've also got to be smart.
Yeah. So 9 months, you're looking at, August, September. So maybe he gets maybe a little bit of preseason work in, but he's not going to have the benefit of a full off season of work. So it's an unfortunate thing, man, because the game's about the stars, and people want to see him play, and they get paid a lot of money because they're superstars, and it sucks, but it is what it is. It's a violent game, and sometimes the biggest stars take the brunt of that violence, and we get a situation like this. So we'll see. But I mean, I don't think anybody's going to feel sorry for the Chiefs, at least none of the other competitors in the NFL, because Kansas City's been dominant. I mean, they've had a great run, like you said, over the last 8-9 years. With Mahomes leading the way. All right, so now the opportunity for Josh Allen just got even better. I mean, the Chiefs were already pretty much out, but now it looks like, okay, so Bengals out, no Joe Burrow. Ravens are teetering, might not see Lamar Jackson. And, they made just an incredible comeback, just a statement comeback against the Patriots last week. So let's talk about the Patriots first, because they're taking on the Ravens, and both teams with a whole lot to play for there. What do you have?
Well, you just said it. They came back from a 21-0 deficit against New England. I believe that was at New England too, because New England.
We're talking Patriots first. Patriots and Baltimore first. Yeah.
Yeah. They snapped the Patriots. The Patriots are still in the driver's seat.
Right.
And they finished with the Jets and Dolphins, which is essentially a layup. Listen, the Ravens
take on the Ravens this week, and Baltimore's got a lot to play for.
Yeah, I mean, the Ravens went from going to be in the Super Bowl to nevermore to back, and they're just back. They can't. They're in a can't lose mode right now. They're 5-2 since Lamar came back from the injury. He's not literally a 100%. But, they got they can't get a loss given where they stand with the Steelers. No wild card is coming out of that division. It's either Pittsburgh or Baltimore. And
they got a rough go of it, man. At Green Bay and then at Pittsburgh to close the season.
Yeah.
So they probably have to win all three.
Yeah, and then and this one, remember, we went through this last week. This one, if they finish tied, if they beat the Ravens, the Steelers is their last game of the season, and if that ends up being a tie, we went through all the scenarios last week of what's next. The final scenario is a coin flip, and projecting where everybody was going to be, division record, conference record, strength of schedule against some similar foes, or however they do it. We thought it was going to come down to an arm wrestling match between Tomlin and Harbaugh to decide who advances.
Yeah. Look, I still want to believe Baltimore can get hot. But they haven't created a lot of faith that they can't. Yeah. Okay. The other thing is New England is 6-0 on the road. Yeah. Only unbeaten on the road. And Mike Vrabel has got their attention after they blew it against Buffalo. This might have been the kind of thing that they needed. Young team going into the playoffs. A lot of guys on that team who've never experienced the postseason, to get a wake-up call like that. I keep thinking about Marvin Lewis when the Bengals were on Hard Knocks. He's like, this is what happens in the NFL if you leave a team hanging around. Just keep giving them the ball. They'll come back and beat your ass every time. And that's what happened. They just let them hang around, because it looked like when I saw it was 21-0, I'm like, man, New England's making a statement here that it's our division now.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, Buffalo's like, no, not yet. Not yet. So, I think Buffalo did a good job of seizing the moment. But it'll be interesting to see how the Patriots respond. And I think, like I said, I think Vrabel's got their attention. They play great on the road. Situation like this, you get away from home. No one believes us outside of this locker room. It's just us. That whole thing. You got that going for you this week. And then Baltimore, because of the threat of Lamar running, and because of 22 Derrick Henry, they got the number 3 rushing offense in the league. Okay, but New England has the number 5 rushing defense in the league. So that's strength on strength. So they can't really look at that and say, okay, we expect to be able to go in and just run the ball at will against them. Okay. And then Baltimore's passing offense is 27th. They have not thrown the ball well at all this season, and they're going to have to do that. The other problem is their passing defense is 26th in the NFL. And, Drake May's been pretty good. So I expect the Patriots to respond, and, this might be it. This might be it for the Ravens. They're going to have to really bow up at home in order to keep their season alive. And maybe that's what they need. Maybe that's what they need. They need the threat of finality looming, to get themselves together and play like Super Bowl contenders that everybody thought they might be in the beginning of the season. But we'll see. Another just fascinating matchup this week with two teams that have a lot to play for. Schedule worked out well, in that regard. You know what I mean? With some of the games that we've talked about so far, they all have interesting components to them. Philly, Washington, maybe not as much, but the Eagles' offense always something to watch.
You start the season 1-5. You've made your own bed, so to speak, and that's what the Ravens did. So they came out of they stunk early. Henry was fumbling the ball. Lamar wasn't healthy, and now it's they can win out and still not advance because Pittsburgh might beat them in a tiebreaker if Pittsburgh wins 2 of the final 3. So,
all right, the aforementioned Bills taking on the Browns. The Shedeur Sanders party came crashing. This is
our obligatory Shedeur Sanders mention.
That came crashing to a halt last week. Against Bears.
He was horrible. They were horrible. He's got 3 games to show the Browns if he's the future quarterback of the franchise. And unfortunately for him, being the Browns franchise quarterback has not panned out well in forever. For whoever that
for
is.
Anybody. No.
Yeah. Cleveland's awful. They don't have a line to protect whoever's the quarterback. They don't have a quality receiving crew for whoever's the quarterback. He's got to make plays. He didn't make, he made some against the Titans, but he got drilled last week. He was horrible. We don't know if the head coach will be back. We don't know if Cleveland's going to draft another quarterback. It's a mess. And Sanders got a mop with a short handle on it. So, he's in a rough spot, right? I mean, they're bad.
Mop with a short handle on it. I've never heard that one before. That's pretty good.
Well, I just made it up. Bills pound them, right? And then the Bills root like hell for the Ravens to beat the Patriots. That's what's going on in that one.
So you don't expect any letdown from the Bills after the big emotional comeback against New England? It's look.
Not what I don't think you can have a big letdown against the Browns, and it's not going to matter. Yeah, I mean, as long as you show up and kick off, you should win the game.
I mean, the Browns' defense has kept them in some games, but I think it's Josh Allen time, and he's got to lead them the rest of the way. Let me see, what do the Bills have left? They got New England. No, they're done with the New England, right?
Yeah, they played New England twice.
Played them twice already. I know they put a lot of division games at the end of the season, but yeah. So they got Eagles. That'll be interesting. on the 28th, and then the Jets.
Layup.
Yeah. So we'll see. Bills, Eagles. That'll be fun next week. But yeah, you figure they're not going to have much of a problem with the Browns. All right. How about this, man? Another great matchup.
Woo!
The
This is
Jaguars quietly playing really, really well. With everybody focused on the Patriots and the Broncos, the Jags are like, hey, man, don't forget about us. And now they take on the Broncos. Trevor Lawrence really, really playing well. But that Broncos defense, man, they are fantastic. What you got?
Yeah, Sports Illustrated called this one, Stan, the underrated Contenders Bowl. Jacksonville 10-4, Denver 12-2, riding a 10-game win streak. Trevor Lawrence coming off a career-high 6 touchdowns. Now, it was against the Jets. Okay, that's full transparency. But how about this? Trevor Lawrence and his head of hair have more total touchdowns this season than Drake May, Jordan Love, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield, Caleb Williams, Jalen Hurts, Stroud, Jackson, and Bo Nix. Trevor Lawrence has more touchdowns than all those guys.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, and we've talked about this before, how there's no questioning his talent. There's a reason why he went number 1 overall, but he's just kind of got lost in the mix.
Yeah, well,
among all
so
those
is Jacksonville as a whole.
Yeah, among all those great quarterbacks in the AFC, he's just kind of gotten lost in the mix, And now it seems like, okay, he's making his move. And again, if you look at who's not going to be there, potentially the Ravens, definitely not the Chiefs, Jacksonville, New England, and Denver could be saying, hey, look, there's a new guard in the AFC now, and we're ready to go. So this game is gonna say a lot about that. I just don't know if they can go there and beat Denver. Bo Nix kind of made everybody feel a little bit better about things, lately, because with that defense, he doesn't have to be a superstar. He just has to make sure they give him 21 or 24, and then that defense is going to do the rest because, man, they're really, really good. And then it's not going to be cold. It looks like it's not going to be that cold. So you don't have the whole Florida thing with the Jaguars. Florida teams going to a place like Denver, but that altitude's still there. You got to deal with that. And then I just think Denver. I think Denver's got a look about them, and I think they're going to cool Jacksonville off.
McNuggles, who is a first-time chatter, Stan, says,
"What's up, McNuggles?
12-2. It's hard to be underrated. The Jags aren't sexy. They found a way, and defense gets it done." And to McNuggles' point, you mentioned the Denver defense. How about the Jags defense? Second most takeaways in the NFL. 6 games with at least 3 takeaways, allowing the fewest rushing yards per game of any team in the NFL this season. So, I had no idea that the Jags defense was that good because Jacksonville, they had that great Monday night game, and then they lost to somebody that was like, who? They're still Jacksonville,
Right.
But here they are. And
they can make a statement. A win in Denver says, hey, man, we're here, and we're somebody you got to deal with. But they got to do it. And, Denver playing for that 1 seed in the AFC, that 1 seed, man, the 1 seed in the NFL, I think, is probably the most important home field advantage in sports because you got to win 2 games, guaranteed both at home, and you're in the Super Bowl. You know what I mean? And for a team like Denver is 7-0 at home. So it's almost a ticket to the Super Bowl if they get that 1 seed. Now they're going to be playing another good team, but still, the way they've played at home this season, so I think they're really, really focused. And Sean Payton knows what that means. He had the 1 seed when he was with the Saints, and they won the Super Bowl, and they beat the Cardinals, and then beat the Vikings. And got to the Super Bowl with 2 games at home. So a lot to play for Denver. We'll see if Jacksonville's ready, if they're really ready.
Yeah, the one thing about Denver, Stan, is they've they've stood on the edge in so many games.
Yeah.
And you stand on that edge long enough, you're eventually going to fall off at once.
Yeah.
And you fall off it in week 12 or week 14 or week 16. That's all right. But you fall off it in the playoffs, you don't get a climb. You're done. You're done for the season.
Yeah. Yeah. But if you're on the edge and the other team's on the edge too, there's Nick Bonito to knock them off the edge, over the edge.
There you
off
go.
the edge.
Yeah, that's
and that
fair,
defense
fair.
is that defense has been fantastic. So look, they got their eyes on home field because of the advantage that it could give them, especially in a place like Denver, because you have a unique kind of home field advantage with the altitude too.
Yeah.
It's not just being at home. There's an atmospheric component to it as well that other teams have to deal with. So, how about Phillip Rivers? He's gonna do it again. I figured he'd be one and done. I think he's still in the tub from Sunday, and he'll probably get out of the tub by Friday, to get ready to go again. But that's really, when they went up 13-3, I'm like, man, they're going to win this game. With Phillip Rivers at quarterback, they're going to win this game against a legit team.
Yeah.
And then they didn't, but still.
Yeah, I think it just spoke more, and we touched on this earlier in our show here, the Stan and Neil show on Twitch. This was more about questioning Seattle's offensive ability, that they weren't able to get in that they had to just kick field goals. Phillip Rivers, God bless him, but his throws were lacking. The legs, the core, the arm, not on par with the heart. And you got to admire the heart, man. When he threw that touchdown pass and he was doing, I mean, I was fired up for him, and I root for Seattle more often than not. But I think, the Colts are finished. They're the 49ers, Jags, and Texans. That's who they got in front of them. I just don't see. They're not in the top 7 right now. They're at number 8. I don't see them advancing. They had a great start to the season.
Yeah.
Phillip Rivers is a nice story, but he's it's not. You know what? It's not going to have a fairy tale ending.
Yeah, it'll be great for the vignettes on Monday night. They're the only game, so there'll be a whole lot of Phillip Rivers back down memory lane sort of stuff. And it's a cool story, but I think the 49ers are going to put it on them on Monday night. I saw somebody, a Colts fan, said he just tweeted, man, we were 7-1. They were 7-1. And then it just, Jonathan Taylor was looking like the MVP, not just offensive player of the year, but maybe the MVP. And now it's just all come apart for him. And I think, the 49ers, I think, finish them off on Monday night.
Yeah.
How about Pittsburgh? How about the Steelers? On top of the AFC North now. Tough win this week at Detroit, which has its own problems.
Yeah.
What do you got?
Well, listen, like the Colts, the Lions are in the 8 hole. There's only 7 seats at the table. 8 doesn't matter. Colts' chance of making the playoffs, 19%. In the NFC, the Lions' chance, roughly 40%. They're behind the Seahawks, the 49ers, and the Packers for a wild card going into this week's play. I watch, where I watch the Lions
at the library?
Lions-Rams game stand. Not just any library, the Delta One library at JFK stand.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And they have volumes and volumes of books.
All on the house.
It was amazing. Oh,
let me ask. Do you remember what did they have? What did they have for the food selections?
Pot roast, salmon, pizza, every vegetable. That's one table. Then you go to the next table. They got sandwiches. They've got desserts. Then you go to the next table. They got soups. They got salads. I mean, it is phenomenal. Like, my flight was delayed. I've never been happier.
Oh, it's like you're like the people on the commercial. Ooh, our flight's been delayed. Yeah.
I'm like, give me another book. And so how about this, though? So the flight is delayed. It's supposed to leave at 6:00. This is a little off topic.
Okay.
Story time. The flight's supposed to leave at 6.
Okay.
At 9 o'clock, I get on the plane. Okay. Now, thanks to my friends at the Heisman, I'm in one of those seats that's got, it goes like a little boy in the bubble.
Yeah.
It goes all the way back, like you're in your own little world.
Right.
So the Blazers are playing the Warriors. Starts at 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific. I got the little NBA app, and I'm like, well, while I wait for the flight to get ready to go, I'll see how the Blazers are doing. I watched the entire game, and we still had not left.
Wow.
And that was a great game. I don't know if you watched.
I didn't.
Steph had.
Oh no,
Steph
I did see
had
that
48.
Yeah, 48.
Steph had 48
Friday night. Yeah, I watched
and the Blazers still won. Yeah.
No.
So anyhow, I've never been happier to have a flight delayed from being in the Delta One Lounge. Shout out to Delta, Stan and Neil show, looking for sponsors. We love Delta, Stan and I.
Yeah.
And
I'm a million miler.
And then I'm a million miler too.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a match made in heaven. Somebody get Delta on the line here.
Where's Delta? Get the captain. This is your captain speaking. Come on. And then to get on the plane, and I'm like, I'm not going to be able to watch this whole game because I'm going to lose, reception or whatever once we get up in the air. And boom, watch the whole game. Blazers won. I mean, it was happy times. Got home at 3 a.m. or something like that.
Yeah. But hey, you were comfortable the entire time.
Yeah. Yeah, and back to Pittsburgh and Detroit. Dr. Rogers can smell the playoffs.
Yeah,
he's in a groove, even if he doesn't get along with his wide receivers. I mean, Pittsburgh's going to have to really spit the bit to not win the division. And the Ravens, of course, are rooting like hell for Detroit.
All right, so the Lions, from their side of things, they got 2 division games after this, at Minnesota. At Chicago. J.J. McCarthy looked pretty good. Last game I saw him, he looked pretty good. They're not going to beat the Bears at Soldier Field because the Bears are probably going to be playing for seeding that last game in Chicago. So if Detroit's not out of it by then, I think that could be it for them. Which, again, they lost Ben Johnson, and the offense hasn't performed the way that it has in the past. I mean, they've been scoring a decent amount of points. The last few games, they scored 34 against the Rams, wasn't enough. Beat Dallas, they scored 44. 24 in the loss to Green Bay, 34 in a win over the Giants. But then against the Eagles, they scored 9. So I mean, they're all. It hasn't been terrible, but it hasn't been. It looks like their defense has been a problem too, because there's a lot of 30-point performances for the other teams, but it's just hard to figure out. I thought Detroit was going to be another team that took the next step.
I had
Detroit
Buffalo in the Super Bowl. Detroit in the Super Bowl. Dan Campbell needs to not only call the offensive plays, he needs to call the defensive plays, because the offense wasn't the problem against the Rams. It was the defense. They couldn't stop Matthew Stafford, man. He was on point.
Yeah, Kelvin Shepard's gotten a lot of credit for stepping in as a defensive coordinator when Aaron Glenn left to go to the Jets, but hasn't been that good lately. I'm looking the last few games. The Giants put 27 on them. Green Bay put 31 on them. Dallas put 30 on them in a loss. Rams put 41 on them. So yeah, the defense needs to step it up if they're going to make the playoffs. But I don't see a road for them. They got to win this. They get Pittsburgh at home. Got to win this one to have any shot. But I think that final game against the Bears, that could do it for them.
Yeah, well, the simulator says 40% chance. So they're obviously there's enough machinations around there that if they, in fact, there's a way they could even win the division, according to what I was reading. But then I didn't read any further because I said, it's only an hour show, and I don't have time to explain all that.
The Lions could still win the division.
Yeah, that's what I read.
I don't
think it's happening.
Bears would have to. I think the Bears would have to lose.
I mean, I could win the lottery, but probably not going to happen.
It's probably the Bears would have to lose out because the Bears are 10-4, Detroit's 7-7, right? So the Bears would have to lose out, and the Lions win out, and that would include that last game in Chicago. That would be for the division. But I don't know if that's going to happen. All right, so now the only question left in the NFL is how bad are the Texans going to beat the Raiders? Because the Texans defense is playing as well as any unit in the entire NFL right now.
Yeah, the Texans were my sleeper team, and the Raiders are asleep. So this is, I mean, the Texans are currently in the 7th hole in the playoffs. They got a 90% chance to make the playoffs. They're rooting for Denver to beat the Jags while watching the Colts float down the rivers. Houston's playing really well right now. See what I did there? You caught that.
I saw what you did there.
Yeah, there you go. Remember, Houston lost its first 3 games of the season. Remember that?
Yeah.
Raiders won at New England the week 1. I mean, my God.
Yeah.
And just,
you go back, you're
crazy.
like, how is that possible? How did that happen?
Yeah.
But the Texans, look, Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're Kenny Pickett, starting quarterback for the Raiders, you're not gonna sleep well. night before the game, you're not gonna sleep well. I mean, because those guys, man, when they get after you, and their secondary's really playing well. I saw Richard Sherman got a question: which defense does he like to watch the most? He played for Seattle Legion of Boom, the original version. Now they got 2.0. But he says he likes watching the Texans defense more than any other defense. I mean, because, man, they just get after people.
Yeah.
Quarterbacks especially. And early in the
season. If
I
was Kenny Pickett, I'd wake up with a stiff neck. Coach, I don't know. I slept wrong. I don't know
because chances are you're going to go to bed with one if you don't that night. But they have won. They have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They won 6 in a row. They got to a shootout with Jacksonville, but since then, it's 13 points against Tennessee, 19 against Buffalo, 16 against the Colts, 10 against the Chiefs, 20 against Arizona. So they're not, they're giving up somewhere around their last 1, 2, 3, 4, last 5 games. They're giving up somewhere around 15 points per game, and C.J. Stroud and the offense can handle that. So the Texans are getting hot at the right time. They got the Raiders, then they go to the Chargers, and then finish up with the Colts. So they're going at least 2-1 the rest of the way, I would think.
Yeah.
Maybe go all 3.
Speaking of hot, I got to step up right now because I got 2 dogs that are getting hot outside. I got to break it up. So I'll just be back in 20 seconds.
Okay. All right.
This is live, people.
It's a doggy break on the Stan and Neil show. Coming up, we're going to talk about the college football playoff. Friday night, we got Alabama and Oklahoma. Saturday, Miami, Texas A&M, Tulane and Mississippi, and then JMU and Oregon. And I'm going to say it once again that I just don't think that this is going to be sustainable for college football moving forward. They're going to have to try to find a way to give these group of 5 teams something better to end the season than getting smashed by Power 4 teams.
I think you had it last week. You had the stand plan. I liked it.
I saw
everybody I shared it with. Yeah, everybody I shared it with loved it.
I saw a couple of other people on social media, other college football people, talking about similar plan. Apparently, the group of 5 teams are in it for the money. And remember, I said last week, I know there's some sort of financial incentive that will keep this from possibly happening, but I really think it's time for the Power 4 conferences to do their own thing with their own playoff, and for the group of 5 conferences to peel off and do their own thing with their own playoff and do their own TV deal. May not be as lucrative as the Power 4 TV deal, but I think it creates a playing field for them where they're playing against teams with similar budgets, similar facilities, similar recruiting, because two of these things are not like the other in the first 4 games of the college football playoff. I mean, Tulane already played Mississippi earlier in the season. They lost 45-10. Okay, and that wasn't a playoff game. That was a regular season game. So now, Mississippi's got a lot of upheaval. Lane Kiffin's not going to be there, and that whole thing. But the resource gap between the two programs, and again, no disrespect to Tulane. They're doing a great job with the resources that they have available to them. That's why they're in the playoff. But it pales into comparison to the resources for SEC teams. Same thing. Look, JMU is a great story. Their last two coaches. I mean, Cignetti went to Indiana. Look at what he's done. And now Chesney's leaving, going to UCLA, trying to replicate that. Okay. JMU's been a great story. Moved up to Division I, to the big boy level of Division I, and it's been a great story. Okay. But Oregon's going to smash them.
Well, you would hope.
I mean, come on, Neil. You're going to smash them. We did the financial comparison. JMU spends about $50 million. JMU brings about $50 million in revenue in from athletics. Oregon brings in $150 million. So you got 3 times the resources.
Yeah.
And you put them to good use. Okay. So, I saw Joel Klatt, the Fox college football analyst. He said, look, we want to see the best against the best. That like college football fans don't want a Cinderella story. And then he went into this whole thing about he thinks the NCAA tournament is the stupidest thing ever because of the Cinderella stories. And I disagree with that because I think, in basketball, you could have 1 or 2 guys
get hot
who really make a difference. Okay. Or you could get hot from 3 and you can really make, but in football, it rarely happens. You got to have a turnover fest or you got to have some real extenuating circumstance for a Tulane to beat a Mississippi on the road in a playoff game. You got to have some real extenuating. And again, no disrespect to Tulane and the season that they've had. But if you gave me Mississippi against Oregon this weekend and Tulane against JMU, now we got 2 great games, right? Instead of 2 likely blowouts. And again, I hope Tulane and JMU, if they're watching this, put it on the bulletin board and they go out and shock the world. Well, not JMU.
I hear you.
I'd hate to have to talk to you next week after the Ducks lose.
Well, that's why I'm like, hey, I don't know. JMU is good, so everybody's like, hey, the Ducks should pound them. I'm like, hey, I get nervous when they have an inter squad game because I know one of my teams is going to lose.
Right. But I mean, I'm fairly confident you'll be able to handle James Madison. And again, no disrespect to those teams, but it's just time while there's all this upheaval. Okay, while there's NIL. They're figuring out NIL, trying to figure out how to do the revenue. They're trying to figure out all the things that they need to bring some more stability to college football. Split it up while you're doing it. Split it up. Not saying that you can't play. If you're Tulane, play Mississippi during the regular season. Take your chances. Get the check. If you win, it's a feather in your cap for the group of 5 competition for the season. Helps your ranking or your rating, and look, you got to make money for your program. Okay. But it's got to be totally unsatisfying to play a great season the way Tulane did and the way JMU did, and for that season to end getting smashed in a playoff game, and you're walking off the field and like you come in hoping against hope, believing against everything that you got a chance, only to get your hopes totally smashed, and then it's over. So that's my take on that. And look, maybe we get a surprise. But the other thing is, even if they do it, Okay? You got to do it 3 more times, and you're not going to do it. You don't have a chance to do it.
Yeah.
But if you're in the group of 5 playoffs, you're going in saying, we got a chance to win the national championship. The other thing it does is maybe some of the coaches can stay, okay? Because John Summerall is going to coach Tulane. Now, he's leaving to go to Florida, but he's able to stay and coach his team because Florida's like, hey, man, you're not in our conference. And, you're not really a competitor for us. So, yeah, finish the job there and then, come join the Gators full-time after your playoff run is done, okay? Whereas you look at Lane Kiffin, Mississippi's like, nah, dude, no. You're not coaching here. And, LSU says, yeah, we would have let him coach, but, they don't really want him coaching there either. You know what I mean? So it kind of deals with that problem, too, if you have coaches moving up from group of 5 to power 4. But I just think just from a competitive standpoint, it just makes more sense. Now, Miami, Texas A&M, who do you like?
Well, plus, let me just say, if they had their own tournament, then that means that 2 more teams would have got into the college football playoff, and then we could have heard why 9-3 Texas was in the college football playoff, and somebody like BYU or Vanderbilt's not in, but 9-3 Texas is, and they deserve to be in because Billy Bob and the committee talked them all into Texas getting in.
And Notre Dame would likely be in and not take their ball.
Oh, yeah, Notre Dame's in. Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, all right, Alabama, Oklahoma, and Norman. Here we go. It's tough to beat a team twice.
Yeah.
I learned that the hard way last.
I like Alabama. Go ahead.
I do, too. I learned that the hard way last year. Oregon beat Ohio State at Autzen and then got pounded at the Rose Bowl. OU won in Tuscaloosa 23-21 a month ago. Bama, 3 turnovers, led to 17 Sooner points, including an 87-yard touchdown in that one. So this really comes down to John Mateer. Is he hot or is he cold? Alabama ran for -3 yards against Georgia. -3 yards against Georgia in the SEC title game. Oklahoma's defense is nasty. Their offense is dicey. Ty Simpson and his arm are going to get it done. Winner gets Indiana at the Rose Bowl. I think it's Alabama. Because I think it is.
Yeah, I do too. I think, those turnovers, if that doesn't happen, maybe they win the first time. But I think Kalen DeBoer going to have those guys ready to play. They won't do that again. And I just think, Alabama's a big game team. Same way I feel about Georgia. Georgia was the better big game team last time, but I think Alabama, will be more prepared for the task at hand, and I think they win. Now, if Oklahoma wins the game, what do you think about Kalen DeBoer's future there? Do you think they start getting a little itchy at Alabama?
Well, they're already itchy before he's even played the game because they had to scratch to get into the 12. He's said all the right things about obviously the job openings at Michigan now. I think he's a good coach. And
I do too.
But expectations are so out of whack from every team. I mean, the fan base at Mississippi State. At Arkansas. I mean, I remember at Arkansas.
We need to bring in a coach that can win a national
who can win it.
So, well, okay, it's not going to happen.
Look. Exactly. So anyhow, it's just a whole nother world down there when it comes to college football. So my thoughts are not relevant because they're thinking completely different. I think Kalen DeBoer should be okay, but listen to the Paul Feinbaum show, and they're going to be like, we got to get him out of here.
With Senator Feinbaum. So my question is always, if you make a move, who are you going to get? Right? Who are you going to get?
Well, Lane Kiffin.
No, you're not going to get Lane Kiffin. I mean, that would be
that would be something. That would be
just an unbelievable turn of events. Yeah. If that job were, we joked around about it last week.
Yeah.
That would be an unbelievable turn of events if he somehow went else. But Alabama would have to come up with a buyout for the whole thing.
Yeah.
And even though Louisiana said they weren't going to do that again, where
hey man, if
where
that lady won the lottery, she could take care of it,
right? I think he's okay either way, but I think it's going to be moot because I think they're going to win.
Yeah.
Who else we got? Let's see here. Miami.
We got Miami, Texas. Yeah. Listen, the Aggies weren't very good in their last 2 regular season games. They had to pull one out of their ass to beat South Carolina at home.
Yeah.
I still can't believe that they won that game. Then they lost to Texas. Probably a blessing because they avoided the SEC title game, championship game, which is meaningless. Spend the extra time getting healthy, getting their game back. You remember all 4 teams that had the bye last year in the first round lost. So there's something to be said for being game ready come big game. Miami finished strong against teams that weren't particularly strong. The Canes got a monster front line on both sides of the ball. Mario Cristobal can recruit like hell. Defensively, if they can get to Marcel Reed, they can upset the Aggies. I would not be surprised to see Miami win this game.
How about this in the red zone? Okay. Texas A&M, 132nd in red zone defense. Okay. Opponents score touchdowns on 94% of their trips to the red zone. So you get to the red zone against Texas A&M, you're going to get a touchdown. Okay. Miami's red zone offense is 12th. They score on 92% of their red zone opportunities. So if Miami can get to the red zone, they score. And if Texas A&M allows teams in the red zone, they usually score. So that's going to be critical. The other thing is going to be third down percentage. Miami, 9th on defense. Opponents convert just 29%. So third down and red zone, always big in any football game, but particularly in this football game, it's going to be really, really important because of what the teams have done so far this season in those 2 areas. Tulane versus Mississippi. Hey, look, Green Wave, I wish you the best. But, I'll be rooting for him 100%.
Yeah.
But the resource and talent differential there is just, I think it's just too great to overcome. And I know you don't like to think of anything as a foregone conclusion when it comes to the Ducks, but I feel pretty safe that they're gonna be able to beat JMU. And again, no disrespect to those programs because they've had great seasons, and that's exactly why I think they should be rewarded with a chance to really compete for a national title.
Yeah. And McNuggles in the chat said, never thought Boise State could do what they did, but the matchups this year could be more entertaining. And I think what McNuggles is talking about was when Boise State beat Oklahoma. But the thing was, that was a bowl game. That was one bowl game. Right. That was one bowl game. And it was fabulous.
100%.
But that's not the way it is anymore. That system is, that's for the other guys. Now,
Tulane beat USC just a couple of years ago. Tulane beat USC in a bowl game.
Yeah,
but again, it was a bowl game. Some guys looking forward to the NFL. Some guys not playing.
Yeah, the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, they were all big bowl games. Now they're stepping stones to a bigger bowl game.
Right.
To the national championship. So good point. But that was when the kid scored for Boise State and then he proposed to his cheerleader girlfriend. I'll never forget that.
Yeah, that was fantastic. The trick play, the whole thing.
All right, Stan.
Tell me about the Heisman.
I was telling you about, being in the library after the Heisman. Listen, it's such a great honor to be a part of that. It's such an exclusive club. One guy gets in every year, and to walk into a room and see Tim Brown and he's like, "Hey, Neil." And I'm like, wow, because I'm still a fan.
Right, absolutely.
And to be sitting there reading books with Mike Rozier and George Rogers, just Gino Torretta, Coach Spurrier, Danny Werfel, Tim Tebow, Eric Crouch, just Jim Plunkett. Jim Plunkett, how is he not in the Pro Football Hall of Fame? He's got 2 Super Bowls and an MVP. They're talking about Eli's got to get into the Hall of Fame. Not before Jim Plunkett does.
No,
come on.
You're right. Good point.
Archie Griffin celebrating his 50th. Troy Smith, Eddie George. Troy Smith's greatest guy in the world, got 87% of the Heisman vote. You know, it almost makes me forget how much I dislike Ohio State for what they did to Oregon last year. Almost. It's just I'm really grateful. I get to do some fun stuff back there with the Heisman Trophy. Get to host a couple of it. Now the event itself on Saturday, I'm just in the audience like everybody else, and then Fernando Mendoza wins it. I voted for him. Diego Pavia finishes second, and then he said some really dumb stuff. And you have to remember, our brains aren't fully functional until we're 25. I try and think of the dumb stuff I did when I was his age. I wasn't on a national.
It looked like he was out partying with his friends at a nightclub. So
Yeah, he had the offensive linemen there. They were very imposing. So, but this Mendoza kid, Stan. First of all, he's just. His speech was so great. And, in this part, his mom is there and his mom's battling MS. Yeah. And she's in a wheelchair and she is so classy looking and acting. And just to see the interaction of that family, his younger brother, who's the backup quarterback at IU. Then he's got this little brother who's 8 years old. His name is Max. He came over, introduced himself to me, said he wanted to be a sportscaster. That's awesome. 8 years old. And just, the right guy won, because it's not just about, it goes to the best football player, but you've got to, there are intangibles that go with that. It was really special to be a part of it. It is every year, but this year with the family dynamic of the Mendozas, I think it really, it was really touching, man. I felt a lump in my throat watching the kid with his family.
How about the tribute to his grandparents too?
Yeah, though he's Cuban American. There was nothing you could say negative about him. And he beat, he had some of the biggest wins of the season,
Yeah.
And the Vanderbilt kid led him to a great season, but Mendoza won at Oregon and he beat Ohio State. And
Yep.
he had Heisman moments. So
yeah. And look,
it's really, really.
Pavia took Vanderbilt to places that they'd never been before, but it wasn't number one.
Yeah.
The way Indiana went to number one with Mendoza leading the way. You just hope he doesn't wind up with the Jets. Because it's where quarterbacks go to see their careers derail, and you just feel for him. You're like, oh man, he's going to go to the Jets. You know what's going to happen? He's going to go to the Jets.
Yeah.
And they're like, man, that kid was good. Man, he was good. Yeah. What happened?
What happened to him? You see
maybe,
ghosts.
Maybe it'll be different. Maybe it'll be different this time with the Jets. But it's kind of looking that way. Unless the Raiders may get him. Who's first right now? The Giants are in it too. Giants got Jackson Dart though. I don't think they're going to be in the quarterback.
Yeah.
The quarterback market. See NFL draft order. Let's see what we got. Because my Saints are playing their way out of it. They're about to play their way out of the top 10.
They may have their quarterback in the former Oregon kid who went to Texas
Tyler
Tech.
Shook. I'm a big believer. All right, so right now it's the Giants. Raiders are second. So Mendoza could be started his career at Cal.
Yeah.
So he's got a West Coast.
He missed
fan base.
one question on the SAT. One.
He missed one question in the SAT?
One.
What was the question? Do we know?
I don't know.
All right, so Raiders are second right now. Giants got Dart. They're not going to be in position to draft a quarterback. But, this is eliminating the potential of somebody trading up for now. But the Raiders are second. If they're sitting there, they're going to have to hope that the Giants don't trade out if they want Mendoza, because they're sitting there at number 2. Titans are third. They went with Cam Ward. They don't need a quarterback. Browns are fourth. That'll be. I think they still go quarterback.
Yeah, if he's available, for sure.
But where do you go after Mendoza? A quarterback. I don't know. That's for another show.
Yeah,
that's for another show.
Let's wrap it up with this Emperor's Cup or whatever they call it.
Emirates NBA Cup. Hey, look, man, that OKC Spurs game in the semifinals, that was a playoff game. I mean, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And Wembanyama came in off the bench, dominated in the fourth quarter, and they beat OKC, which, we've been waiting all season. Hey, who's going to challenge OKC? Who's going to challenge OKC? Well, San Antonio, healthy, can really challenge them. And they showed it in that game. And then the Knicks, they had the Knicks on the ropes. And then in the fourth quarter, the Knicks put them away last night. And look, $531,000. I don't care how much money you make. $531,000. That's a real sum that'll get your attention. Don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate that the regular, I guess this is the third year of this, and I guess the genesis of it was too many guys were sitting out early games.
Yep.
So now you get this going, and it's too bad that I mean, you don't want to say like a guy making $57 million can't get motivated just making $57 million. He wants to make $57 million and $531,000.
Well, there's that, but there's only a couple guys making that kind of money on the team. You got guys on two-way contracts, right?
Yeah.
For whom, that's real money. That's real money.
Yeah, but the guys on two-way most of the guys on two-way contracts aren't making a difference in the game.
Right. But they still get a share. So their teammates want to do it for them. You know what I mean? And then you got a guy like
I don't know.
I think it's Champagne. I can't remember who it was, but there's a guy who is a significant role player on a team who's making like $4 million a year. I don't want to get it wrong because I think it's Champagne for the Spurs. But he's making $4 million. So $500,000 is that's real money to him. So we think, everybody in the NBA is making $50 million. Yeah. Julian Champagne, he's got a 4-year, $12 million contract. So he's making $3 million a year. And he's a rotation player for San Antonio. So at $3 million a year, you're getting that's 1/6 of your salary. 1/6 of your salary in one game. Right?
Yeah, but see, the problem with the argument is you're going to have a hard time selling that to the casual or the basketball fan that the guy making $4 million it needs the extra $500,000 or that makes the reason why he should play harder or be more invested in an early season game.
But
because
that's
the guy
not,
watching the guy watching the TV's going like, how am I paying my cable bill?
Right, but that's not really the argument. The argument with the money is it's enough money to get the players' attention because let's face it.
But isn't $4 million enough money to get the players' attention?
But is the guy paying the cable bill 6'9" with unreal athletic ability? No, he's not. And it's not any NBA player's fault that he's not. He just wasn't blessed with those. Like your friend Bill Walton used to say, they're the genetic lottery winners. You know what I mean? They hit the lottery in part because of the physical talent that they were born with. And so, I mean, you can be envious of them, but you can't, whose fault is that? So there's a reason why they're making the money that they're making. But I'm just saying it's enough money to get players' attention. And then once you get into it, these guys have been competitors their whole lives. They want to win. If they're keeping score, they want to win. So I think for some guys, it is the money because it's a significant portion of their salary. For other guys, it's, hey, we're competing, we're keeping score. I want to win. I don't care what it's for. I want to win. And then there's a trophy. And, if you look at what the NFL has done now, the NFL is really usurping on what had been the NBA's territory this part of the year. particularly on Christmas. You know, the NFL has a full schedule now. Christmas weekend, they've made a whole weekend out of it now. So it's not just Christmas Day. So the NBA is fighting to keep some relevance at this part of the year where people aren't working as much. You know, they got a lot of downtime, and you know, there's sports on TV, so they got bowl games to compete with. They got the NFL playoff race to compete with. So the NBA, hey, let's come up with something to lock people in. The other component of it is you look at the team you cover, Portland
Trailblazers.
Look at how many international players they have. Okay, look at every team in the NBA now. There's just international players on every team. Okay, the NBA is truly a global league. Okay, and if you look at who's sponsoring the NBA Cup, Emirates. Okay, Emirates is a global airline. It's not a domestic airline. It's a global airline. You look at the Knicks jersey patch, it says visit Abu Dhabi. Okay? It's global. It's not okay. So with that in mind, soccer, there's always a cup. I mean, every game they're playing for some cup. You know, it's whatever. You got your club team, you got your country, and then you got, you know, individual rivalries in within those things, and you know, Barcelona and Madrid playing for whatever, Copa, whatever. I mean, there's just always something, right, with soccer. So a lot of the international players, like Victor Wembanyama, gets it. He grew up in France, you know, a soccer fan, so he understands the midseason trophy, you know, the way it is in soccer. And I think the NBA says, hey, look, let's take a little bit of that format, let's put it in our season, and let's create a championship within the season that kind of gets people excited. You know, we want buy-in for the players, so let's at least make it financially substantial for most guys. You know, and let's see how it works. And so far, I think there's enough competition the way it's structured with the group play. And then you get to the knockout rounds where good teams rise. I mean, it's been the Bucks, the Lakers, and now the Knicks. Okay. And all those teams have been pretty good in real life, you know, outside of the Emirates NBA Cup. So it's not like, you know, you're not getting relevant games. You are. And it's fun. I mean, those guys seemed excited about it last night. There was even a conversation about whether or not the Knicks should hang a banner in Madison Square Garden for winning the NBA Cup. I already know what you think, but I'll ask you anyway.
Well, the Lakers hung one.
Huh?
No, God, no. And the Knicks have announced that they're not going to hang a banner.
Okay, all right. Okay,
no,
good.
Listen. I mean, final comment here. Then I got more important shit to do than talk about this Emirates Cup.
You're sounding like Kornheiser. Kornheiser said he wasn't even going to watch. He's like, it's not even on real TV. It's on streaming. I'm like, come on, Tony. Yeah. Come on, Tony.
Listen, your point, you play to win the game, so no matter what the context of the game is. So in that way, you know, if the Knicks could use this to fuel them to a championship run, and the Spurs could use this to fuel them to a championship run. Seeing these kids, you know, young men run on the court, and that's what sport. That is the good thing about sport.
Yeah.
You know, so but it's unfortunate that it came to, I'm not going to play this early season game, and you know, fans were kind of getting screwed, and that brought all this about. So the end result is entertaining. The process is a little disappointing that this is what it took. This is what motivated us to do this.
I think it was coming. I think it was coming because of the NBA's global aspirations and the soccer-like format. I think it was coming anyway.
Every time you say soccer, I kind of wince. So,
but you don't know. What I'm saying is, as much as it's for us domestically, NBA fans in the United States. I think it's also for global NBA fans who have individual players from their countries who play in the league, right? So, like, if you're in Serbia, okay, you're watching the Nuggets because of Nikola Jokic, okay? So now here comes this NBA tournament with a format that's familiar to you from soccer, and so you say, "Hey, let me get into this because it feels familiar." At least I think that's what the NBA is hoping for, to get some of that and increase their global footprint. Because if you look at, now they're going U.S. against the world for the All-Star game.
Kenny Avdia, All-Star.
Exactly.
That's the last thing I'm saying.
All right. There you go. All right. I think we got it covered.
We'll see you next Wednesday. Coach D, hit it.
Let's go.
How's it? Do you know what time it is?
Let's go.
The Stan and Neil Show. 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 With Stan. Oh, Stan, he's the man. And who's Stan's biggest fan? Well,
It's Neil.
and Neil, oh Neil, he keeps it real. And that's why Neil's the deal. Stan and Neil back together again, spreading the love with all their old friends.
Let's go.
Stan and Neil back together for you, keeping it cool, 'cause Colts are raw. The Stan and Neil Show. 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 The Stan and Neil Show.
Yeah. All right, let me hear it all back. See what we got so far.
So, shout out to Coach D for the jingle, the Stan and Neil jingle.